Yes, that is pre-game anxiety. Manchester United face Arsenal later on. So I'm just trying to get things out of my system day by day. So today I'll whistle, tomorrow I'll bark. Things will become different. I hope you're having a good morning as Sam Gituku has done his bit in a baby-friendly way. Inside joke. Kila kitu iko tu sawa. Everything is good. And yeah, we are here again. It is another beautiful Tuesday. Today I want to talk about something that is those things that you say it's easier said than done. And I'm happy today I have a bevy of beauties that is flanking me to the left and to the right. Yeah, man, mi ndo ule mse, I'm that proverbial elder. Kitaka namba, tunachukua farasi. Ombe tuliwacha. All right, so Ann Cutie yako hapa, how you doing?
Niko fiti, happy new year.
Happy new year, by the way.
Za kucheki buda.
Hey.
Uko fiti?
Yeah, man, niko sawa.
Hata mimi niko best. Manchester United is doing us good, so
yes.
Tuko sawa, kiburi imepanda kidogo. Imepanda kidogo tu juu Saturday ni kubaya. Sunday.
Sunday sijui tutafanya aje.
Tutaweza. Tutaweza. Ai, tu. Chinja huwa. Hatuwezi.
Mwalize. Na watu wanafanya hivi tuseme finish.
Tushamaliza hiyo boss. Wacha tushukishe hizo points.
Yes.
47 kama count.
Nimeona mtu mwenye kwa page 2. Unaona ukifinyanga kwa WhatsApp message read more. Kina CJ has just come. Ako pale kwa read more. Team yake lazima ufinye. No, the other side of the table. Roberta Bobby.
Wagwan.
Uko aje?
Niko salama sana. I feel very good.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Sina
kingine ya kusema.
Uko sawa?
Bora furaha.
Yes. Bora furaha. Bobby leo amevaa ile tunasemanga ni ya kuenda introduction.
Rurashio.
Nampeleka mami kwa zingira. Kwa hotuba. Mazingira, excuse me Gituku, how do you say kwa zingira? How do you say my tour?
Mazingira.
Ziara, yes, kwa ziara yangu, thank you. Kwa ziara yangu ya Nairobi nimeleta huko. Zingira yangu ya Nairobi. Anyway, it's all good. Oswayo is not our nini. Not our particular time, but you're good, you said.
Niko salama, I feel good. How are you?
I'm okay.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Niko sawa. Today I've woken up energized actually.
Yeah. Kuna ka energy flani leo.
Yeah, nimeamka yani mapema I've done a lot of work by the way between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. with the baby on the nini. I think ilikuwa inspiration. Though nilikuwa na type hivi. But
Daddy don't hustle.
Yeah. If Daddy don't namwangalia hivi nasema, oh man, I need to go. Other than if the girl child. All right. CJ.
How you doing?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
You okay?
Yes.
Najua, most of my Liverpool friends, I don't send them messages because I know how it feels to be where you are.
Wow.
And that things can change. You know, you have to go game 18.
Where?
It's up to me. Had it 38. You can talk now and then you find things have changed. So I hold my peace. But you're doing okay?
Yes, I am.
Karibu sana.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Right.
We missed you, man.
Yeah. Karibu sana.
How you doing? You're looking so good.
Hii ni ya kumpeleka
Introduction.
In
the context of the Kenyan system, it could be 1 or 2. But because CJ is here, it will be 1. Atasema for this reason, a man shall leave and go to his what? Akusema wives. Wacha to maintain the gospel according to Genesis and CJ. Okay. Today, like I said, we want to talk about something that is easier said than done. And it's Walking Away, the popular Craig David song that is always played as a subliminal on most of your stories. When mtu akikasirisha unaanza, I'm walking away. Naziweka hapo hivyo, irreplaceable, to the left, hizo vitu zote. But it's easier said than done because most people leave and they come back, they leave and they come back. It's sort of like a cycle. And even when you leave, you carry a lot with you that, again, if you don't deal with, you take to the next. So I guess we'll start there from Ann Cutie. Why do you think it is? Ni ngumu sana msee yani aseme, you know what? Bye-bye, Felicia.
Adios muchachos.
As Shatta would say.
Very, very fast.
Yes.
But I think most of the time, it's hard to live because when you're with someone, kuna ile security wamekupatia, ile safety wamekupatia, you're in a comfort zone already. When you're with someone, uko kwa comfort zone. So una feel like, siwezi, I cannot breathe without this person. But in reality, you can actually breathe without them. But kuna kuanga na hiyo, una feel needy, una feel clingy. Manze, sometimes it's hard, especially when you make like 5 years, 10 years with someone. You know.
You've invested your time.
Invest time, invest energy, invest finances, emotions, everything. So ikifikanga hiyo time ya walk away, it becomes so hard because unaanza kufeel sasa mbona nimewaste hiyo time yote, like why did I waste my time on this person, why did I waste my resources on this person? But in reality, haujui, everyone is there for a season and for a reason. Everyone is in your life for a season and for a reason. Si lazima ikuwe forever, bro. Unajua hapo ndio watu tunakosea. Unafikiria ni forever, so you end up forcing issues, yet it's not forever. So once you understand that someone is in your life for a reason and for a season, kuna wale anakujanga kama wamepita Willis. Mtu anakuja, anakuteach lesson, anaenda. Mwingine anakuja for a season. Hiyo season, maybe your successful season, maybe your unsuccessful season. So you'll find most of the time we force issues. They say actually I'm saying kama ni wako ni wako.
Sasa hiyo.
Kama hata
analogy. Kuna wale waliwachilia na
hajairudi hadi wa leo.
Kufumba na kufumbua.
Hakuna mtu mwingine.
Yes, walibaki hivyo. Like if you love somebody, release them. If they come back, they're yours. If they don't come back, it was saa zingine wanaenda kama wameandanga.
But sometimes tuko addicted na hiyo toxicity, like uko hapo jua kuna kitu inakuwekanga tu kwa msee. Willis hawezi sema it's a life. I say I'm in your life. Kuna kitu yenye tu naonanga kwako ama kuna kitu yenye na gainingi, like we gain from each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. So niko hapo juu na gain kutoka kwako ama wewe na gain kutoka kwangu, and the minute tu msee ameanza kuoka wewe ama amekushtua tu cheki naishia, you start becoming, unaanza kutetemeka like sasa ndafanya nini, nilikuwa nashindaga na Willis, sasa ndakuwa nikifanya nini? So those are some of the reasons why it becomes so hard to walk away. But God anakuanga amekuwekea zile za cheki, it's a blessing in disguise. But you don't know, ujui, unaanza kulia, unaanza kupatwa na pressure, which is part of life, which is okay not to be okay, to cry and to do all that. But at the end of the day, it could be a blessing in disguise, and we'll never know until uachilie huo msee aende, ama umwachilie tu afanye venye anataka kufanya. You will never know. It's a blessing in disguise, by the way, sometimes.
It's true. The only thing that as your principle in my work for me ni Manu.
Amani atuachili.
There's a time I let Manu go, but it came back because we are meant to be. But it's a you know, it's a hard thing, and I mean we also can't deny that there are people like, you know, Shaza said it publicly, the relationship she has with Mo and how that came and worked out. There are people who have wachana wakarudiana and well, they've lived happily ever after, but then there's still the statistic that there are those who haven't. So Bobby, for you, what do you think would be the reason why yani kutoka unaona ile exit sign, it looks so beautiful and it's normally illuminated because you need to see it, but for some reason we just don't.
It's difficult because habits zetu kwa hardwired as human beings. Once you do something and then you do it and then you keep doing it, it becomes safe and familiar and secure, and this becomes what you're used to. And change is very uncomfortable and different and difficult, and you'd rather just sit in your space here. This is what we have, this is what we decided, let's work on it. Sometimes even when it's toxic for you, because the familiarity of it is what makes you feel safe. But some of these relationships zinakwanga trauma bonding, especially when you realize you people have nothing good going on for each other. You're always jealous, you're always angry. Hakuna kujengana, hakuna kusaidiana, hakuna mapenzi, ni tu hiyo familiarity ya. This is who I've been for 5 years. We've been through everything together, the roughs. But when you look, hata hizo vitu go through together ni mashida tu, like cheating, fighting. Hakuna milestones, Watu wakisema the ups and downs. Mimi nasemanga cheating haiko involved. Like, wacha ups and downs ikwe vitu zingine, but see disrespect, ama, you know. So, kuko kwa hiyo space familiar, it feels very, very safe. And this is why, wase wengi uliza, dem ako in an abusive relationship, mbona ajitoe? it's not that they don't want to go. It's not that they've not thought about it. It's that the familiarity breeds a lot of difficulty in leaving the situation. And this is because of the emotional abuse that you've been undergoing that maybe you've not been very aware of. So it's all hardwired, like it's all deep in your subconscious that, yes, you know, you might even know what you deserve and you might know. Like, kama mimi nikikapa najua na deserve nini, but saying niko too lazy. Like that body I want, but it's a gym naniet. You know, it's just, ni hizo two decisions unafaa make for yourself, of which I always say they come to you. You don't have to, I mean, yes, have the incentive and make the deliberate decision, but you don't have to be very hard on yourself, because as long as you start working on yourself and knowing, this is who I am, this is what I accept, these are my non-negotiables, this is what I love, this is what I can tolerate, hizo vitu zingine zote zinaanzanga kuji-eliminate. And it's a difficult journey, but especially when you're in love with someone, or you think you're in love with someone, or you want to be with someone. But in every situation you have to be, I always insist that you have to prioritize yourself. You have to think, am I happy? Am I feeling good? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to illuminate your own energy into everyone else. Because if you're good, you can take care of your lover. If you're happy in the relationship, you guys are able to be patient with each other. If you're kind and respectful, you listen better. But if ups and downs zenu ni umse unitukana, umse unignore, umse...
And there's a and I know maybe CJ will also help us. There's that what's Shatter called it, and it exists, Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because of, you see how the familiarity could not just be because nimezoea say, but you're even used to the conflicts. Like, si tunakuanga tu hivyo.
Yeah, you get so
we've learned to
used
function
the
in
chaos.
dysfunction.
Yeah, and it all actually stems from your childhood and how you grew up. Because someone who's grown up in a loving environment, they know how to respect each other. It's difficult for them to attract or settle in chaotic relationships. But when you grew up in a situation where you always... You grew up seeing people having conflict all the time. There was always anger and bitterness and jealousy. It manifests into your relationships as an adult, and it shows up in the same way. So hizi vitu zinakaa normal sana kwako. Kama mimi mse akinitukana inaweza ni shock sana, because that's not something I'm used to, especially in a relationship. I feel like we should be able to talk to each other. But to someone who grew up in a different way, amezoea budake akijama alikuwa anatusi kila mse kwa keja. So hiyo kwake ni very normal. Ukitry hata kumexplainia, it didn't need to escalate to there. It's difficult, but it's all habit. That's why you have to start wanting to improve yourself, taking accountability, listening better and understanding, so that nikikam kukusho, QT, sikupenda venye uliniongelesha leo asubuhi. Instead of kukua defensive na ianze tena kwa argument ingine, you're just going to be able to say, okay, can we talk about it? Or what did I say that, we can have a growing discourse around such situations. But I'd say it's difficult to leave, but once you do it, you see it's not really difficult. Once you love yourself enough to choose yourself, it becomes the easiest things. You choose yourself all the time when it comes to jobs, when it comes to friendships, relationships, but for you to get there, it's a lot of work that you have to do.
And I think, CJ, your thoughts on the same way is hard to leave, but also, is it the work that sometimes kind of pushes it back? Because like QT said, so now you're thinking, okay, right, so I'm going to have to start from scratch. This time I used to spend with them, how am I going to feel this time? Or I'm going to miss them, or they become such a part of me. Is it the work that also sometimes scares us, apart from before you go even into like children and all that? Yeah.
Well, there's an element of all of that. When you're used to something, of course, the withdrawal from it will be very difficult. And one of the things that we've got to understand is that every separation and every severance is painful. It's a form of a loss. Whether you're the one who's walking away or the one who's being walked away from, it's a form of a loss. And the process that makes it difficult is that the person who needs to walk away is going to have to go through a grief moment. they will be mourning the loss of a relationship because, as it was said, there's time invested, the emotions that were invested, there's probably money that was invested. So you've been with this person for a while. You can't just wake up and walk. This is a loss. So you've got to go through your mourning process. Sometimes that's not a very easy thing for some people to go through, and sometimes it takes longer. The routines, the falling in love with an abuser and all of that are quite a part. But I think the greatest challenge for me is if you don't have something compelling to walk to, you will find it difficult to walk away from what you have. There must be something bigger. Like Roberta is saying, you know, you want this body, but then putting in the work. Now, if your life depends on that body, then you probably will put in the work. So sometimes we don't have a clear picture of where we want to go. And that's why it becomes difficult to walk away from where we are. And that's not just with relationships, it's habits, it's who we are, it is jobs and all of that. If I am very clear about who I need to become, and I really want to be that, then I'll probably put in the work. Now, I may still struggle, even when I'm putting in the work. But I will say, you know, this is what I want to do. The same stuff you were doing with the weight loss, you know, it was very compelling. So you feel, this is who I want to be. So you put in, it wasn't the easiest of things, you know, cut off a lot of stuff. So you put in the work because you had this picture and the future was more attractive than your present. So sometimes why we do not walk into the future is because we have not developed a picture of the future that is bigger than the present.
And just to put it in context, because people might get confused, when you say you don't have something to walk to, it's not that umepata dem mingine macho mingine.
No.
So now you
Yeah.
you know, people were like, wait, yeah, CJ, you're right. You know, just to put it in context, that's not what you're talking about.
No. You see, if you get the next person and you're still the same old person, you'll still go through the same stuff. Cutie talked about, you know, people come in for a reason, for a season. There are certain things you learn, even if you were with somebody for 1 year, for 1 month, there are things that you learn. When you get out of a relationship, the question is, are you getting out the same person that you were when you got in? Are you still responding to stimulus the same way you did? Because if that is the case, then everybody you meet will provoke the same thing. So you'll keep reacting the same way and keep on complaining and saying women are like this or men are like this. But there are things in you that are easy to trigger. So you're not growing, you're not changing, and anytime that thing comes up, you react the same way. Then you say, you know, all of them, they have abused me. All of them mistreated me. And it can't be all of them abused you and all of them mistreated you. It's just because you're not growing. So you must have a picture of who you want to become. A picture of a better you that is very compelling, that I want to be somebody who is sane, who makes decisions outside of emotions. Of course, that's a very difficult one, but you're growing in your emotional intelligence. I want to be somebody who acts less angry. I want to be somebody who is more understanding, who listens more, who is less reactive. I want to be somebody who's more patient. So you've got to have that picture first. Then you work yourself towards that. So if this is not enhancing you becoming that person, then you say, look, I'm going to walk out of this, not because I've found the next person, but because I've found a better version of me. But if you keep the same version of you, you will still attract the same person you're walking away from.
Yes.
All right, very important. Hapo take notes. All right, let's take a look at, first of all, this is the question that we're asking you today. It's pretty much to give your insights on the same topic. Why do you think it is so difficult to walk away from relationships? Why do you think it's so difficult to walk away from relationships? When relationships here is not just, of course, you know, it could be even a platonic relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be a work. Yeah, so why do you think it's hard to walk away? SMS 22422, that is the number. SMS 22422, use the hashtag Daybreak on the social medias, that's on Twitter, and then SMS 22422. There's a call in. All right, you can call. Oh, niwapatie number. Yeah. Watu wa Arsenal sikiza wanatupatia instructions mingi. Okay, you can also call. The number is going to be put at the bottom of the screen now. Maybe no,
It's
no,
there.
not yet. It's there.
Yeah.
Or in a scroll. All right. Yeah. So yeah, you can ask. You can call in as well if you have very important things to say, which I believe you do. Just no cussing and no mentioning names. Unajua niliambia Frederick, the way you walked away. Yeah, let's not do that. A big shout out to Joyce Lina Wood, who is also a nutritionist. I'm saying, hey, Bazu and crew, quite the topic to start the year. Where people should be able to overcome scarcity mentality. In that way, walking away from a relationship will not be as hard as we think it is. As Bobby said, the level of which you love yourself is what will drive you to walk away or still stay, and yet you walked, whether you walked away emotionally or otherwise. Akasema she's watching us, she's part of the online crew, ako pale hivyo YouTube. And anasema welcome back. Hapo, so asante sana. You can also get your comments in, like I said, 2242 and hashtag Daybreak. Now, before I go back to QT, Shazmin Bank has been away in a foreign country. However, she weighed in on this topic, and let's listen to what she had to say. And I'm glad that Shazmin moved forward, because then, even in the digital context, for those who are watching in banks and restaurants in mute, they'll be able to read some of the words. So, ukiona imezibu unaweza toa that. Let's listen to what Shazmin said about walking away and the role your ex plays. Dum 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 dum. Let's listen in.
So many people walk away from a relationship feeling like they've lost. They lost a part of themselves. They lost the best years of their life. They walk away wondering, could I ever love somebody again the same way? Will I ever even put myself out the way that I did with this person? So many people walk away from a relationship feeling, if this relationship couldn't work, after everything I tried, after all the love I gave, after all the time I gave, and this relationship still failed, then I have no hope for any other person in my life. And a lot of people will also sometimes feel, I lost the best years of my youth or the best years of my life. And having walked away from this relationship, when I look back, I wonder why it took me so long to leave. The reason that you should not regret those years of your life is because there was nobody better that was going to come into your life to have pushed you to grow, acknowledge your worth, suffer through the pain, to find who you are in your core. There is nobody that could have replaced your ex. And as much as they were bad times and there's a reason you left that relationship, they were also good times that molded you in a direction to know exactly what you wanted in that relationship. Even if they were small in between, they were the little light in a relationship that said, I want more of this. This is what a relationship should feel like, not pockets of it. So a lot of people feel, I fought for that relationship to work. I want you to think about something. At some point, you did stop fighting for that relationship to work. You started to fight for your worth in that relationship to be seen. And the reason they are your ex is because now you understood your worth so much. You put yourself finally on a beautiful pedestal. You learned what it felt like to love yourself. That you could not stay in a relationship anymore if somebody was not going to treat you what you are worthy to have received. But I want you to think about when you met this person. Your standards weren't that high. Your self-esteem wasn't this high. Your self-worth was not even close to what it is today. So they had to be in your life for you to have sat in that relationship one day, to have turned around and said, I am worth so much more than what this has to offer, and I need to get out. And it's not about finding the next relationship. It's about sitting with myself for a while and sitting with what I allow myself to be put through. But don't regret it. I want you to look at what you went through with an ex, knowing that everything you went through was for you, was molding you for the person you cannot see that will walk into your life. was molding you for the self-respect you will now have at a job and not tolerate being treated a certain way. This ex was a gift. And it took a while to unwrap before you realized you've outgrown the gift. But don't have regret over an ex, because you were perfect for them and they were perfect for you. And that's all you need to know, that you cannot go back in time and wish you had married someone else or met somebody else. You met the person that you were destined to meet so that they could be a part of your journey to you becoming the best version of yourself. So now that you've moved on, don't sit in regret of the past. Don't sit in regret of who you had to walk away from. Now sit in acceptance, beauty, and wonder of who you are becoming.
Right. Mesema, sit there and notice who you're becoming, because that's now the next step that probably we need to talk about is pia kuna hiyo process after ushawacha mse alafu. All right, so what do you do? Because like CJ said, there's that period where now you have to, and people don't talk about that, especially kama wewe ndo uli initiate. Kuachwa wanasema ukiwachwa wachika. But even if you're the person who initiated, people think that if they're the ones who initiated, it means that you know they're okay with the thing. So that's something to talk about as well. But so sasa, let's say there's somebody who's watching and they've said, all right, you know what, I'm at ilimfanyika last week. You know, normally statistically when you're talking to people, I don't know if it's 1 out of 4. Like kuna mtu amewachwa. Kuna mtu sai, let's say ni sangapi? 9 anaingia kwa restaurant kuambiwa, excuse me, it's not you, it's me. We gotta end this year. There are people who have gone through this last week, last year, yesterday. Sasa mseka wewe unamwambia aje, like what is like the process sasa after in this case, let's say umewachwa. And that's the most popular. Umewachwa. So what's the next process looking like? How is your life looking at?
Unajua Willis, the minute kwanza umeachwa ama umeachana, it means there's something that triggered that.
Right.
And women, we tend to like give like a million chances before you actually walk away. You're like, so wacha kufanya hivi, you know, you're saying to like, wacha kukua hivi, wacha kufanya hivi. Sasa inakuwa ni like a broken record, like all the time, it's the same thing. So for a woman to actually walk away, it means amejaribu her best. Na ameona sasa hapa mali imefika, imeshindikana. So the minute that you walk away, Willis, first things first.
A boy child ngoja.
Okay.
Nimejaribu sana.
Speak for girls.
I mean, I speak for girl child. It's a girl child thing. But the minute you walk away,
right,
the first thing you feel is it's going to hurt, Willis. Especially kama ulikuwa unapenda huyo mse, you need to understand it's not going to be easy. It's really, really going to hurt, and you need to take time to heal. Like utakuwa unasikia kurudi, like every other minute, picking your phone, texting them, and you need to understand that this is a process. And it's okay to feel all that and to do all that. Unasikia kuchukua hiyo simu, ni mara ngapi watu wamerudi in a relationship, like unatoka unarudi because it's part of the, I keep saying it's part of the healing process, because kuna wale wanatafuta closure, kuna wale anataka explanation, like niambie mbona ulicheat, mbona ulifanya hivi, you know, and until you get that closure, sometimes it becomes hard to move on. Na huyo mtu mwenye amekuhurt, probably they never give you that closure, so that makes it even hard. But what you need to know is that at the end of the day, on the other side, mambo iko tu sawa, because the more you sit with this person, I keep saying just weigh the pros and the cons. If I'm with this person, ni gani ndo zinawe the most? Is it the pros or the con? Kama ni ubaya, just walk away. That gives you strength to walk away. So we talk, and if you need to cry, cry. If you need, do what you have to, Willis, to heal, because it's all a healing process. But ukijifanya utero ati wende umetoka, oh, I'm not, I don't care. You know, we like saying that to the public, especially, like, I don't care, hata si hat, hata sikuwa nampenda, hata siwezi lia. You're lying to yourself and you're lying to everyone. So for you, just do what you have to. Cry if you need to cry. Watch a movie, enda out kwenye mlikuwa.
Ukiwatching a movie, that's when I realize about guns and thrillers and whatnot. Do not realize, fighting for his life. Why can't you see this? You start crying.
And you treat yourself, those things that you used to do for that person, you'll actually realize that you deserve them better. And I keep saying, like, every time, before you do something for someone, think about yourself first. It comes out as selfish, but it's not Willis. Like, kujipenda si selfish. So, hizo vitu zote ulikuwa unafanyia msee, whether ulimlipia school fees akaenda college, hata wewe rudi ujilipia, kama ulikuwa unamlipia rent, hizo vitu zote ulikuwa unafanya, hebu try kujifanyia and then uone vile life itakuwa poa. Kama ulikuwa unampeleka out, jipeleke ujitreat, buy yourself some ice cream, some good meal, do yourself all those beautiful things. Kama ulikuwa unambaya gari pia jibaye gari, you know, such kind. But what I'm trying to say is that all the things that you used to do for this person, just start doing them for yourself, and with time you'll come to realize, like, this person was either using you or they didn't deserve you. You start realizing, like, your self-worth, like, I really deserved better. It starts dawning on you. Of course it will take time. Then kidogo ukitokelezea watu wanaanza kusema huyu ndio juzi alikuwa ako depressed na hiyo relationship but ame move on. But it's a process. What I can say is that it actually takes time, but when you get there, when you get on the other side, sasa hapo unaanza ku live the life. I deserve better, and you will never, actually, you know, it's a lesson. As you said, it's a lesson. So moving forward, utapata hizo vitu zenye ulikuwa unafanya huko before, you learn from those mistakes. So it's okay to do all those mistakes. It's okay to, like, go through all that. At the end of the day, unakam kwa hiyo self-realization, like, I deserve better, this is me, and you start afresh, and you'll probably get someone who will treat you the way you want to, or who will appreciate you more than you wanted to.
Now, what do I ask you to your question?
Yes. As you defend the boy child.
There are people who go into things like stress eating, you know, they go shopping all over the place, but they still feel very depressed.
Right.
They're trying to cover up for the absence of the other person. So
they need a dopamine.
Yeah, because I'm trying to see whether that is effective. What she's saying, like, what you used to do for the other person, do it for yourself.
But what if it's in the context of when you realize, for example, you're in a place where you're the one who's giving and not getting, and so now you're just trying to.
But Willis, if you're a giver,
if
you're a giver, no matter how much people abuse you, you find fulfillment in giving. You can't replace that with receiving. You'll still give.
Giving yourself. You're still a giver.
Yeah. Now, there's just something about when you're a giver. And just the same way there's something about when you're a taker. You can have everything. You could have everything, but you still want to take. I think givers just find a joy in giving. So if they're not giving, they'll still feel somehow frustrated. It just says, I get what she's saying, but I'm not sure that it will work 100%.
Right.
Because I think there's also the element of personalities in the whole of this process. What kind of a person am I? So what if I used to go out because this person was outgoing? So I'd stepped out of my personality, but I'm actually an indoor person. So will I go out when they're not in, when they're not around, or will I go back into my
your usual cocoon?
You know, I mean, so I was helping you to host the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. But also, in sasa umeongelea girl child. So CJ, boy child. That's the other thing. Most of the questions that people get is like, hey, jamaa naye move on haraka sana.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Already.
In context, I think, I know CJ might tell you, meaning what I think is this, and CJ might correct me if I'm wrong. I think because men are problem solvers, the same way Kitu anasema unapatia mtu chance. Usifanye hivyo wewe. So unaanza kupatia mtu chance January. So unasema mimi nataka kutoka hii stuff. But by the time that I want to leave, I'm still saying, okay, maybe this thing can work. Let me try and solve this problem. But really, ile January, what will come step? But you're still like, okay, but I'm a man, you know, I need to put this thing together. We need to find a solution. So by the time unafika pale December, you're actually saying, okay, I'm done. Where you had practiced from January, you had left. There's a phone call. Wacha tuchukue kabla akate. Hey, unangadhani ni kama DCI wako nje. Everybody's waving at. Jen from Roiro. Jen, how are you doing? Good morning.
I'm good.
Tell us, your comment, Jane. Why do you think it's so hard for people to walk away from relationships?
I just want to ask a question.
Oh, you want to ask a question? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. I've been in the marriage for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And for the past 1 year,
Yeah.
I realized that, okay, we're in distant marriages. We don't reveal things.
Sorry, just say that
But
again.
I
You aren't so
realized-
clear. So you've been in a marriage for 5 years, and for the
Yes.
past 1 year, what has happened?
I realized communication has been affected so much. And since information, unapata phone calls zinakuanga zimesage kabisa. So I decided, at least I communicate to him and leave what is happening. But he always says, niko na kazi, niko busy, everything. Now I'm wondering, inaelekea almost a year, communication haiwezi. Now nashinda, is it time to walk away?
Okay.
Ama what's the best way to do about it?
Okay, so I still can't hear you so clearly. What we're going to do is, I think if Winnie has heard or what it is, because I'm just interested, apart from saying, I get you've been married for 5 years. So in the past 1 year, what has happened? I'm sorry, I couldn't make it out so clearly.
The issue of communication.
Issue, yeah?
Unapata.
Oh, communication.
Yes.
Right, uh-huh.
Unapata for phone calls, you don't communicate that much.
Okay.
And per month, unapata na choice.
So there's a breakdown of communication na mnakosana sana.
Yes. Hata hakuna issue ya mnakosana ama nini. We are in good terms, but communication hakuna.
Ah, okay.
Sasa nashinda hii inaelekea wapi. And I've tried to communicate to him, but bado.
So, but for the past, so in the 4 years they've been communication, hii mwaka to last,
Yes.
just for 1 year. Okay.
Yes.
All right. CJ, what do you think?
Well, there could have been something that happened. Probably the man is going through something, and sometimes they're not very willing to talk about that. He may be consumed in other issues, because she said they are not having issues. So it's very difficult then to put a finger on what exactly this is. And maybe when he feels a bit safe, then he will talk about it. Sometimes men don't want the people around them to panic, so they carry a lot of the burdens of the things that they're going through. It could just be something with his finances, business, career, or maybe something else that came up from his social life, whatever it may be. So without a lot of information, we'll just be acting on conjecture here. So, but I don't think that warrants had to walk away.
Yeah.
Because out of the 5 years, she said 4 years were good. And
even now they're not.
It's not abusive per se, apart from just the fact that, the communication is not as it was before, which is also a very relative thing to talk about, because then the question is, how much communication is good enough communication? Some of these things are also about the person that you're married to. Maybe they're not as communicative. But they feel their presence is communication. They feel that the things that they do is communication. You may be with somebody who doesn't think that they should text you 4 times in a day. They're not wired to do that. Or they are people from the bottom line side of life. Once they check up on you and say, how are you doing? And you say, I'm fine, you're fine. Okay. So according to him, he has communicated. Right. So we also would have to understand the communication style, frequency, the depth of communication that they had before you can even come to the place to say, well, this has really changed. But
it means a lot to have her to say that ama niende.
No, it does, but it could also be formed from, popular opinions, where people say if you see somebody not spending on you, they're spending on somebody else. If they're not talking to you, they're talking to somebody else. Those assumptions, Willis, have also ruined a lot of relationships. Yeah. Because it could be that this person is actually going through something.
Right.
But then you begin to assume that there's somebody else in their life. But I still think that she should try to establish why that has happened with him. or seek help from somebody else and find out what could have happened that this has been affected.
All right.
Yeah.
We have Andrew from Machakos. Andrew, go ahead.
Habari ya asubuhi.
Sana.
Nashukuru sana kwa mjadala wa siku ya leo. Nami nimekuwa katika mahusiano ya ndoa kutoka 2016. Na nimepitia changamoto nyingi mpaka mwisho tulikuja tukatengana na kila mtu akaenda kivyake. Mimi ni mchungaji. Lakini kawa naishi na mke wangu ambaye hakuna siku hata moja aliwahi niamini kwa mambo ya kuishi vile tulikuwa tunakaa pamoja. So wakati wote yeye anaweza ona umeketi karibu na mama mnaongea na yeye, hasa anaanza kuinua issue, mbona mnaongea na wanawake saa yote? Na ukweli katika hizo huduma tunafanya unapata watu wengi ambao wanakuja karibu na wewe ni hao. Nikawa na issue na yeye kila wakati mpaka mwisho mimi mwenyewe nikafika nikachoka nikasema hapana, kuliko tunaweza sukumana hivi na maybe mtu mmoja anaweza kukuta amefanyia mwingine makosa. Mimi mwenyewe nikaamua kujitenga tu na yeye kabisa huu msimu wa COVID-19 ukielekea kuisha.
Yes.
So na amekuwa tu anaweza kuja naambia marafiki zangu, mimi napenda huyo mzee wangu, nataka turudie, lakini ile maneno anaongea kunihusu. Anaongea maneno mabaya, maneno ambaye hawezi hata kukupatia nafasi ya wewe unaweza sema hapana, wacha tu nitulie tu niseme turudiane na huyo mtu, kwa sababu imekuwa kutoka ni muoe uaminifu ulianza kudorora, kwa sababu kuna vile yeye anaweza, mimi nilimweleza issue ya maisha yangu, lakini yeye yapo mambo mengi alinificha wakati nilikuja kuanza kuyajua. So nikawa moyo wangu umeanza kudidimia, kwa sababu kama mtu anaweza kukudanganya jambo alafu baadaye ukichunguza unapata liko namna hiyo vile alikuwa hajakwambia.
Yes.
So ile uhusiano kweli kabisa ukao umeisha kabisa. Hata kama tunaishi katika ndoa, lakini tulikuwa tunaishi nyumba ambayo haina ile furaha kabisa. So ningeomba kupata ushauri hapo sasa, kwa sababu hiyo jambo limekuwa nzito kwa moyo wangu sana. Mpaka hata nikijaribu hata kutaka kufikiria ati kwamba anaweza tamani kuwa na uhusiano mwingine, naona hakuna, yani haina haja hizo, mpaka nikaamua nikasema beta hata kukaa hivyo mwenyewe. Maana ilisukumia mpaka hata huduma yangu ikabidi hata huduma nikaachana nayo.
Right.
Sababu niliona sasa kuendelea kuhudumu na changamoto zile zinakuja na maneno kutoka kwa huyo mama, ikabidi nikafunga hata kanisa, nikaacha kabisa, nikaamua kutulia kwa nyumba. So nimesikia jinsi hawa dada na pamoja na CJ wanaongea, nikasema hapana, wacha hata mimi nisije angalau nipate ushauri hapo.
Sawa, asante. First of all, pole sana kwa all that you've gone through. QT, what would you tell him? Because he says, I think so this has been 2 years. Like I said, COVID kind of question, so probably 2020 that he left, and clearly he's going through what CJ talked about, that when you leave, there's a period where uko in mourning, and now he's also wondering, sasa, how do I start again? Nita approach them wengine vipi sasa?
Unajua, at the end of the day, you need to move on with life, Elise, because ukishinda ukidwell on the past also drags you behind, you know. If he can, he needs to like talk to someone. It could be professional, it could be a friend. Ile yenye anaweza, like kama ni professional, aende seek help. Kama ni best yake or someone close to them, they can actually share, because a problem shared is a problem solved. It's not gonna be easy, as he said. Hata yeye mwenyewe amesema si rahisi, but he needs to make that first step. Lazima move on, lazima approach mtu mwingine. But I'm not saying that a rebound at the way to go. I'm just saying that if he feels when he's ready, he can always move on, approach another girl, because at the end of the day, his story time drag behind. Any past, hiyo ishapita, ishaenda ikiendaga. So the best thing he can do is, first of all, accept that it's over, then seek help, talk to someone, and then from there, with time, when he's ready, he feels he's ready, itakam tu, hata si lazima ati itafute. Maybe pia endo atakuwa approach tuwezi jua na hizi vitu. So
yeah, it could be. It's true, by the way. Yeah, it could be the same. Bobby and then CJ. What do you think? Because Andrew says especially that part where he wants to move on. When do you ever know you're ready?
I felt the sadness in his voice, because I feel like he's still holding on to his old relationship. But my opinion from what he's called in to say is that the relationship was never founded on trust.
From the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning. She was insecure from how he explained. And he tried to stay, but what happens when you're with someone who's insecure is that it infiltrates your whole relationship and it seeps into your partner's minds as well. So, namse mwenye ako insecure, ana projectingi kila saa, kila kitu mnafanya, kila mali mnaenda. As long as hayuko secure within themselves, they'll always make you feel like there's something wrong with you as well, and there's something wrong with our relationship, even when everything is going on okay. So I'd say he needs to work on his self-esteem and his confidence, which is basically just loving himself a bit more, so that he's able to notice these things. He's able to see them when they're happening. Sazile uko aware, inakuanga rahisi sana kuona, umse anani gaslight. Umse anatry kunidanganya. Umse, hii ni red flag, hivi venye kila saa ananishuku. So when you see that you're able to make decisions for yourself and your own life, and it's not that ati all is lost. It's not that ati haezi fix na yeye ama sai meisha, because he's really going through it and he's in pain. It's just that he and his wife, ex-wife, they have to be on the same page of where they're ready to talk to each other and they're ready to work on their insecurities. They're ready to work on their self-esteem. They're ready to work on the relationship. Right. They have, like CJ was saying, you have to have the vision of what it is that you want. And ukishaiona, inakuwa so easier for you to know what you need to fix, what you need to do for you to achieve the end goal. But I don't think all is lost. I don't think he should dwell like in the sadness and the pain. I think he should just push himself to start being ready to make the decision. Like, yo, do I want to be with someone who's insecure, or do I want something better for myself where kama saya amesema amefunga, yeni mchungaji ameacha job, imebidi, you know, that could lead into depression. Maybe he's starting to withdraw from everything, from work, from friendship. Na vitu kaizo unotisingi, jukai it's been about 4 years. Imagine the dwelling, imagine every day waking up sad, depressed for 4, that's a long time.
And the fact that, you know, like CJ, I know there are a lot of SMS, but I also just get CJ, the fact that he says she's going around
akiongea.
Yeah, akiongea, and I believe the mchungaji said was pastor, I believe, right? So if he's, so there's that as well. So you're a pastor, umewachana na your wife, and your wife is around you. He's in such a complex situation.
It is. And he's actually suffered 2 losses.
Right.
Yeah.
He's suffered the loss, maybe even 3. He suffered the loss of his marriage. Then he suffered the loss of his ministry. Then he suffered the loss of his image in the community. And that is where probably sometimes it becomes difficult. You know, the pedestal upon which he is judged is higher than if it was just a common person. You know, if you are just an artist somewhere, you can move from this person to the next. So the advice of QT, I don't know whether it it's different. It's different because you're supposed to uphold certain values and standards. So it's not even
supposed to work.
Yeah, so it's not even very easy for him to do that, to move to the next, because that will also have repercussions on what he does. So he's really in a place where he wouldn't know how to go. And you see, leadership is about trust. So as long as this lady is going around and messing his name, he's losing the currency of leadership, which is trust, which is affecting everything that he does. So probably the other thing that he could look at is to move locations. Literally just leave that area that he is in and have a fresh start somewhere else, because it will take so much of his energy to try and explain a new beginning where he is right now. It will take another 6, 7 years trying to disapprove the stories. And you don't want to do that, because you can move forward, but there's so much that is sucking. There's a gravitational pull that is sucking that energy, that even when you have a new person, or you're trying to move into the next thing, and you've reopened this ministry or whatever it is, you still have to deal with so many things. You nearly have to give a disclaimer for everything that you are doing every day. So it may be easier for him to move locations. It should be something he could consider. Just move to a different place. Find somebody else. If he's into ministry, go and be with another ministry. Be under somewhere else. Heal and do the work while he's not the main person making decisions, and then probably have time to have another relationship and grow under, so that he doesn't have the pressure of trying to raise a relationship and try to lead the people at the same time. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope, Andrew, that helps you. And again, it's good that this is a good step to talk about it. So keep talking about it, and listen to some of the advice that you're given. Let's take a look at some of the SMSs and what you're saying. Leo naambiwa watu wamefungua roho sana kwenye SMS. Somebody said, I had a man who I loved, but when he met me with another man, just casually, I walked away. Okay. All right. So how do you walk away if a child is involved? Which is a very big question. We'll talk about if I think we might need 2 more minutes. Okay. Continuing and constant disputes will wear down any relationship. You didn't leave your name. No matter how many good qualities exist within it, any relationship will eventually fall apart if the partners face too many traumatic challenges and they affect each other differently. Changing dreams and goals. When partners first commit, they most often share similar dreams and goals. Sadly, those initial common desires can change for one partner while the other is still attached to them. This is something CJ has said here on different occasions, that unaweza nipata leo kama napenda kuwa journalist, lakini nikifika 40 naweza kuwa ama nikuwe lawyer. And you don't know me when I'm broke, when I'm money and all that. Most common reason for a partner leaving a relationship is that he or she has connected with a new love interest. A new undercover lover. Boredom. When intimate partners know so much about one another, they can actually predict the other partner's every thought, feeling, and reaction. They can concurrently lose the excitement of discovery. However, Shazmin says there is a program that can reignite the fire. All right. I will stop there because of time. But that's a very interesting question, a very big question, CJ, when they are children. And I don't know if it's, does it get difficult or easy as they grow older? I don't know. Because some people say that I'll wait until maybe the child is 12, then now I can leave.
I think mostly it is harder for the mothers when the children are younger for them to walk, because it takes a lot from them to raise the children at that particular age and stage. So I think the women then will feel they want the child to get to a stage where they're not as dependent on the mother as they would. But even if there is a child involved and the relationship is not working, a discussion should be held on how to co-parent and involve everybody that is an interested party and find out how to co-parent, but do not keep a child in a dying or an abusive or a toxic relationship, because eventually they'll pick up the energy. Children pick up energy even while they're still in the womb. So if you keep the child and say, let me just keep this because there is a child here, you're hurting that child. And there will be another generation that will raise another generation that is abusive, hurtful, or toxic. Yeah.
All right. Well, as you can hear, one Sheshi has upped the volume.
They're going to walk away.
Sheshi anasema we walk away. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate all of your feedback. I know we're not able to get to all of them, but hopefully this helps you to start the conversation with yourself. Start the conversation with yourself. Start the conversation, with your partner as well, and to shed some light on things that you probably need to work on as well, because walking away ni hard. Mtu asikwambia ni rahisi, ni hard, but if you choose to do it, it will be a process, na utafika kwa hiyo side nyingine. I'm speaking from experience. Utafika kwa hiyo side nyingine eventually, but again it is very hard, and even when you start something new you still have lingering thoughts and feelings. So like QT said, get help, talk to somebody, share, get credible help, get trusted help, just like CJ said, the currency of leadership is start. Chukua leader mwenye unaweza trust, ama rafiki mwenye unaweza trust, si mwenye utaongea leo uende pale usikie, oh by the way I was in CJ yesterday, he was telling me that you are going through ABCD. No, like look for somebody you can trust, somebody who is tried and tested and who you believe in. Share your problem and utakuwa tu sawa. That's what I'm telling you. Like I always say, every problem has an expiry date. Every day you're living is coming closer to the end of that problem if you're working and choosing yourself and doing the right things. And even if you do sleep once or twice, just get up, you know, dust yourself, don't be too hard on yourself and keep on going. Ningeendelea hapa sasa niwaitisha sadaka, lakini nitawachia hapo. Mungu awabariki sana. We are walking away because of time, but we are always with you. Follow us on all social media platforms, and QT, Roberta Bobby, and CJ Atembo. Peace and love.